What does this Kansas City Chiefs team bring to the table on the defensive side of the football, right? You have Spags, super familiar with Spags, right? So dude loves the blitz, right? With Josh Allen tends to play pretty good against him. Some situational plays when he called that cover zero blitz on the last play of the AFC Championship last year, where Dalton Kincaid should have caught that damn ball. My heart still ripped out of my chest. But this is what this team is looking like right now. Against the pass, they are ninth in the NFL, EPA at minus 13.73. They are seventh in the NFL for 0.060 EPA per dropback. That is seventh. And 11.5% DVOA. That is 29th. So what does that tell me? That tells me that the Chiefs aren't as good against the pass as perceived, but the Chiefs aren't as bad against the run as stats suggest, as DVOA suggests, because then you ultimately end up looking at their defense against the run. And they are 24th in EPA at 5.4, and they are 25th in EPA per attempt, but they're 9th in DVOA. So what this tells me, and like I've said a couple of times over and over again, why I prefer DVOA over EPA is DVOA accounts for quality of competition. So it tells me that Kansas City is much better against the run than box score stats suggest, and Kansas City is much worse against the pass than box score stats suggest. So it's a pretty good run defense. What is Buffalo going to do? Are we going to feed James Cook once again, or are we going to get back into the pass game? How does that all look? So I ended up doing some deep research here, and I asked Sumer Brain some of the things that allow Kansas City to struggle, or what makes Kansas City struggle in the small sample size so far this season. Like I said, they have been a far different team for the past 3 weeks, but I feel pretty confident in what this data is suggesting. Past defense struggles are this. They are allowing 69.5% completion rates. That is very high, right? 6.2 yards per pass attempt, 8 passing touchdowns allowed, and they have a negative EPA per dropback. That's indicating that they're giving up quite a bit of value in this game. Now, what this tells me is that they are likely running a lot of too high and leaving a lot of things underneath open and trying to eliminate the big play. But there are potential wins out on the field. Red zone defense issues, 61.1% red zone touchdowns. That is toward the bottom of the league. So not the best red zone defense. 18 red zone drives faced, and they allowed 11 touchdowns. So something to think there. And they have a negative EPA in red zone situations, minus 0.036. Third down defense, it's like right in the middle of the league, 38.4% third down conversion rate allowed. They have 33 conversions on 86 attempts, so it's right smack dab in the middle. It's not an elite third down defense. It's not a bad third down defense, but something to put into consideration. So they have a negative EPA, which is slightly below average. And then personnel. And this is going to be one of the keys that I love right here. Oh, man, I love it here, baby. I love it here. What type of formations should we be running against Kansas City? Well, let me tell you what. So 11-man personnel, for some of you that are maybe unfamiliar. 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 1 running back. They are allowing 5.4 yards per play and only succeed 27.3% of the time against this offensive formation. But then you end up going into 12 personnel, 2 tight ends out on the field. Jackson Hawes, Dalton Kincaid, Jackson Hawes, Dawson Knox, whatever you have. They also struggle tremendously against 12-man personnel. 5.4 yards per play, 32.8% success rate with positive EPA. Folks, when you look at how this Buffalo Bills roster is constructed, they are a 12-man personnel type offense. That's exactly what I suggest that we run. Exactly. Right? Say that you want to run the football and leverage our big bodies on the offensive line. Like we need to operate out of 12. That is the recipe for success against this defense, is running 12-man personnel. Leverage those big bodies, especially when you end up getting to their second level of the defense. And then as far as game plan, this is what I ended up asking Sumer Brain. They suggested attack through the air. So this is a Josh Allen passing type game. Their pass defense is allowing high completion rates. Take what the defense gives you. Number 2, target the red zone. Over 60% of the TD rate suggests they struggle to tighten up near the goal line. So there are victories in the red zone, right? Long, methodical drives, get into the red zone, and that's where you can regularly succeed statistically. Next up, as I just mentioned, use 12-man personnel. They've shown vulnerability to 2 tight end sets. Do what you can. Last but not least, be aggressive on third downs. That should go without saying, right? Like be aggressive on third downs, slightly below average. This is what we need to look at. So this Kansas City Chiefs team, like I said, right? Much better against the run than data suggests. Much worse against the pass than box score stats suggest. So this tells me this needs to be a game where Josh Allen ultimately ends up succeeding and doing their thing. Make sure long, methodical drives get into the red zone. That's when you win. Maybe try and implement some James Cook, but this game is going to be won, and we're going to be seeing our most efficient offense as humanly possible once they end up getting into the red zone, right? That is key. Fun fact. Who should Josh Allen be targeting in this defense? Let's take a look. So the Kansas City Chiefs have shown clear vulnerabilities against secondary and slot receivers this season, while being more effective against primary targets based on the 2025 regular season performance through 8 games. Let me go on ahead and just get this screen a bit better for you guys here. So somewhat vulnerability against wide receiver number 1. Some people might even say that we don't even have a wide receiver number 1. So who cares, right? Wide receiver 2, secondary receivers, high vulnerability. So we could think of like Shakir, for example, right? Or slot, excuse me. This is where we're going with. Slot receivers, 2.9 targets and 2.4 receptions per game, right? 85% catch rate, extremely high. We're talking about Khalil Shakir, who for some odd reason has not been leading in targets all year. I hope for the best here. 11.8 yards per reception, positive EPA, 55% success rate, 3 touchdowns allowed, most out of any position. So this tells me that Khalil Shakir statistically should be a focal point of this offense. He should lead in targets. Right? Tight ends, low vulnerability. All right. Statistically, this Kansas City Chiefs defense takes away the tight end relatively well. Okay. With 2.2 targets and 1.8 receptions per game, only an 81.6% catch rate, but contained at 9.4 yards per reception, slightly negative EPA, 55.3% success rate, and only 1 touchdown allowed. So tight ends have not historically done well against this Kansas City Chiefs defense in 2025. So the vulnerability is here. And then as far as this, you have running backs, low to moderate vulnerability, 2.8 targets and 2.2 receptions per game. Okay. 79.5% catch rate, but limited to 8 yards per reception, slight positive EPA, 43.2 success rate, 1 touchdown allowed. So running backs in the pass game, not that effective against this team. The biggest thing is a slot. Slot is the big thing. So when I'm looking at who I want to focus my game plan around, it's going to be Khalil Shakir based off of how Kansas City has been playing, right? And here are the key takeaways from this. Number 1, target Khalil Shakir and slot receivers. And Chiefs are allowing 85% completion rate to wide receiver with 3 touchdowns, right? Attack with wide receiver 2 options, highest EPA allowed, 0.287 per target with big play potential. Luckily, I don't think that we have a wide receiver 1 on this roster. So everybody else outside of Khalil Shakir would technically be a 2. Is this a Keon Coleman game? Maybe. Probably not. I am still trying to avoid targets to Keon Coleman, unless, of course, we have a lead. Use bunch formations and picks. Create traffic to free up secondary receivers. Y'all remember that pick play where Chiefs fans were upset with Curtis Samuel that we ran last year, where they said that it was an illegal pick play? I'm sure you guys remember that. Limit running back checkdowns. So don't check down RBs and spread the field. Force the Chiefs to cover multiple receiver levels where they are vulnerable. So this is interesting. That is very, very interesting, folks. Let me know your thoughts. Let me see what we got. Is Bean going to make a move or sit on his hands? He owned WGR in apology because we have no good receivers and Allen has nobody to throw to. So I'll tell you what. So I think a lot of the times, this fan base, we overprotect Josh Allen, and he's always the last one that we cause blame on. But something that I think might intrigue you is there's no question that Josh has regressed this year. Now, why I love a lot of these advanced metrics, Will, is when it comes into EPA and DVOA, it's just looking at the quarterback, right? And grading their specific decisions, grading how they do with the weapons that they have. And I think that we can all agree that last year Buffalo basically had the exact same DNA. So the exact same DNA as, this year. Like, think about it, right? Like, we still have Khalil Shakir. We had Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. Sure, you could say, oh, well, Matt Collins is not on this team. Like, I don't think that this wide receiving room would look any different than it did this year if he was still on this roster. But as far as Josh Allen's performance, man, he has taken a significant drop off. He went from top 5 in all EPA and DVOA metrics through the first 7 weeks of the season in 2024, and he's dropped to an average of 10th place. And that's not terrible. Maybe that's just me being a spoiled fan. But I think that this should tell you. So I think that this should tell you that it's not all lack of wide receivers. Yes, I want a wide receiver. Yes, I want Chris Olave on this team. Yes, I would love to make a move for Jordan Addison. I would love to make a move for Brian Thomas Jr. Okay? But I think a lot of what is wrong with this passing attack is Josh Allen. It's not the receivers. Or say that it is the receivers. I'm putting more blame on Josh Allen. So I need to give a giant shout out to Sleeper, folks. Maybe you're feeling confident that the Buffalo Bills are going to win on Sunday. Maybe you're feeling confident that Lamar Jackson is going to put on a clinic against the Miami Dolphins defense on Thursday Night Football. Well, I'll tell you what, you could actually get rewarded for your correct takes. Sleeper is the number 1 player prop platform on the market. Just pick 2 to 5 players. If you accurately predict that they go above or below their projections, you could be a massive winner. Okay, sometimes up to 1,000x of your overall play. And they're giving you $20 just for signing up. All right, it's the best promo in the league, in the world right now, and it's in the description if you want to be able to take advantage of it, man. Shout out to Sleeper.